No, we can wait a few minutes. It's fine. I can wait till like 1:05. All right, well, I think I can just go ahead and get started. Okay, so welcome everyone to Empowering Villages webinar series, Avoiding Cyber Scams. My name's Ari Lazarus, and I'm with the Division of Consumer and Business Education at the FTC. So before we begin, we're required to provide a brief disclaimer. As you'll see on this slide, I speak for myself, and the opinions expressed are not those of the commission or any commissioners. They're of me and myself.
Okay. See ya.
Okay. So today we're going to go over some of the core tips and advice we give to consumers on cybersecurity, and then go through some of the online threats that we see, talk about how they work and how to avoid them. And we'll also touch on some of the intersections of online scams and the current coronavirus crisis. Then we'll wrap up with some resources from the FTC and how you can share these tips and advice with others in your local village. Okay, so knowing and talking about scams is a great way to fight them. Understanding cybersecurity basics is important to keep your information and your money safe. And your information and your money safe from scammers. Today, we'll go over a few cybersecurity basics that can help you keep your accounts and devices protected. Okay, so here's 2 of them. We're gonna go over 6 today. This first one is really a big one, updating your software, keeping your software, including your operating system. That's like, Apple OS or Microsoft Windows, the web browsers you use to connect to the internet, and your apps up to date. To protect against the latest threats. Most software can update automatically, so make sure to set yours to do so. How to break into. Companies are constantly pushing out patches that can fix these vulnerabilities, but you'll only get the benefit of those protections if you download the app. So no matter how well you keep your system protected, no system is completely secure. Cloud storage, we recommend backing up your files once a week. If your computer is attacked by malware, you'll still have access to your files. And I actually have a fun video. Let me see if I can pull it up quickly. I forgot to include this one. Let's see if this works. Okay, so I have one other video I'm going to share too. I think our videos are really great. I think they're a great way to, give our tips in kind of a more fun, way, and they're quick and they're kind of to the point. So here's one on backing up your files, and I said share sound.
Your life is on your computer, from your financial records and contacts to your family photos and videos. Your favorite music,
your
games, and other documents you wouldn't want to lose. The reality is, if you don't back up those files, you risk...
Oh, okay. All right. Let me
you
go do
got to
this.
stop share and then reshare to show the video.
Copy, embed. I got you. Okay. I apologize. I can actually just embed it into the PowerPoint really quickly. Sorry about this, everyone. I do just want to share this one because it is kind of fun. It has a little song. Okay, so let me try this again. Oops. All right, it just needs to load. And again, this is on backing up your files. All of our videos are on YouTube, by the way, so they're really easy to share. So if you like any of them, you can share them on your social media channel, through your newsletter, what have you. They're really easy to share out. So here we go.
Your life is on your computer, from your financial records and contacts to your family photos and videos. Your favorite music, movies, games, and other documents you wouldn't want to lose. The reality is, if you don't back up those files, you risk a total loss if your computer gets hacked, crashes, or downloads a virus. That's right, everything. Gone in a nanosecond.
Did somebody say, back it up?
I did say backup. We want everyone to back up their files once a week. It's one way to avoid a digital disaster.
Good idea, you gotta back it up. If you don't want to lose it, back it up.
If you don't back up often, you risk losing it all if your computer crashes, gets hacked, or downloads a virus.
You could lose it all.
It's fast and easy to back up to an external hard drive, a DVD or CD, a flash drive, or to cloud storage. And when you're finished backing up your files, disconnect your backup drive until you use it again.
You gotta back it up, back it up. If you want it to back.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Back it up. Visit onguardonline.gov to...
Okay, awesome. All right, well, yeah, I don't know if anyone else appreciated that video, but I kind of like it. I think it's the only one we have one other that has like a song to it, but they're pretty rare. So yeah, that's a good one, a good reminder to back up your files. Okay, so here's two more tips. So one is to secure passwords, and you've probably heard this tip a lot, but secure passwords are really important. Secure passwords mean that it's at least 12 characters, a mix of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers and symbols. You want to avoid common words, phrases, or information in your passwords. And then for accounts that support it, two-factor authentication is always a good thing to turn on. Two-factor authentication requires, two-factor, multi-factor, they're the same thing. They require an additional piece of information to log into your account. The second piece could be a code sent to your phone or a random number generated by an app or token. And this protects your account even if your password is compromised. Okay, and for the last two cybersecurity basics, a big thing is to secure your home network. You're gonna wanna make sure and activate encryption, which scrambles the information on your network. And it scrambles the information you send over the internet into a code so others can't see it. And it's the most effective way to secure your network. And you wanna make sure that your computer, router, and other equipment uses the same encryption. Generally, we advise using WPA2 or WPA3 since they're the newest ones. And yeah, those are the most up-to-date encryptions. Lastly, assume public Wi-Fi is unsecured. So, take steps to use public Wi-Fi securely. You should assume that other users on the network can see what you see and send. So you're going to want to avoid using public Wi-Fi to access personal or financial information. And if you're on the go and need to access those accounts, we recommend using your mobile data. Okay, so now to pivot to some of the online threats, online scams. We'll start with tech support scams, which, as I'll explain momentarily, is definitely a scam to pay attention to as it relates to older adults. Okay, so tech support scams, how do they happen? They often start with a phone call, pop-up, or an email telling you that there's a problem with your computer. And often scammers are behind these calls, pop-up messages and emails. They want to get your money, personal information, or access to your files. To gain your trust, they'll often pretend to be from a well-known tech company like Microsoft, and they'll use lots of technical terms to convince you that they're the real deal and that the problems with your computer are real. They may ask you to open some files or run a scan on your computer, and then tell you that those files or the scan results show a problem, but there isn't one. The scammers may then do a few different things. They might ask for remote access to your computer, which lets them access all information stored on it and on any network connected to it. They might install malware that gives them access to your computer and sensitive data like usernames and passwords. They may try to enroll you in a worthless computer maintenance or warranty program, or direct you to websites and ask you to enter a credit card, bank account, and other personal information so they can steal that information. So here's an example of what a tech support scam pop-up could look like. As I mentioned earlier, these pop-ups can show as urgent alerts that direct folks to call what appears to be a legitimate tech company, only for it to be scammers looking to take your money or your personal information. Okay, so what should you do if you really do think that there's an issue with your computer and you want to avoid a tech support scam? First is you want to make sure to update your computer security software and run a scan. That should give you some idea of what's going on. But like we said at the beginning, it's really important to keep your security software as well as your operating software up to date so you're able to catch kind of the latest scams, or sorry, the latest online threats. Second, if you do end up needing help fixing the problem, go to someone you trust, someone you know. Many companies, many software companies do offer online support or by phone, but stores that sell computer equipment may also offer technical support in person. Okay, so tech support scams are a big deal for older adults. You'll see here, this shows the loss reports by age and fraud type. And tech supports are hitting folks over 60 really hard. They are several times more likely to lose money from tech support scams than those 20 to 59. And those losses aren't small. In 2020, folks over 60 lost over $36 million to tech support scams, and the median loss was over $800. So all of this to say, this is one scam that's definitely worth paying attention to with older adults. With that, I want to share one of my favorite videos. This one's actually a first-person narrative of someone who experienced this type of scam, a tech support scam, and how he really embraced the importance of talking about scams as an important way to fight them. And again, as a reminder, all of our materials are in the public domain. So if you like any of our materials, like our articles, blogs, or videos, we would love for you to copy and paste them into your newsletter, social media, or other outreach you do with your village. And with that, I'll play this video.
My name is Don Holmes. I live in Sun City West, Arizona. In this community, we're all seniors. After you move in here, even if you don't know anybody, you get to know other people you enjoy doing things with. I use a computer predominantly for email and to get the news. One day a thing pops up and kind of blocks the screen and says, you've got all kinds of viruses in your computer. The design of the pop-up had a Microsoft logo on the top, and they had a number. And I couldn't get rid of this thing on the screen. Turned the computer off, turned it back on, still there. So I called the number. They identified themselves as Microsoft. I had no feeling that there was anything wrong.
Tech support scams are real, and they're causing enormous consumer injury, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's just based on the FTC's own law enforcement work. Just like Mr. Holmes, a lot of people are getting pop-ups on their screens, and often they claim to be associated with a company such as Microsoft or Apple, giving them lots of credibility.
They told me they would clear what they considered to be malware in there. In order to clear it up, they needed to get into my computer and have my control of the computer turned over to them. So I gave them my password. They went in, the thing came off of the screen. When I went back to my computer the next day, I couldn't access my files.
You'd never let a stranger into your house. Don't let one into your computer. If you get a pop-up, don't click on a link. If you get a phone call from someone who says your computer's security is at risk, don't listen to them. Stop, take the time to talk to a friend, talk to a family member.
When this happened to me, I was a little bit embarrassed. I mean, I consider myself fairly alert, but I was targeted and I was scammed. I didn't really want to talk about this, but I realized that if I didn't talk about it, that if I didn't file the complaint with the Attorney General, that if I didn't file a complaint with the FTC, that I would have shrunk into myself. And by talking about it, by talking to all my friends,
They're not amateurs, Don.
I began to realize that they also started talking and they started indicating that they had experienced similar things. That kind of community, that kind of exposure, it's not an embarrassment, it's just something that happens when you're a senior. You have to talk about to other seniors. What I would suggest is contact the FTC. They have a website. You can fill out a complaint online. We can be empowered with your family, your friends, and other people within your community to try to put a stop or at least protect ourselves from these kinds of scams.
Okay, great. All right, so now let's turn to another common online scam, which is phishing. So you probably know how phishing works. It's when a scammer uses fake emails or text or copycat websites to get you to share valuable personal information like your account number, social security numbers, or your login IDs and passwords. It happens when you get an email or text that seems to be from someone you know, asks you to click a link or give your password, bank account, or other sensitive information. Pressures you to act now or something bad will happen. So phishing scammers like to lure their targets into a false sense of security by spoofing the familiar trusted logos of established legitimate companies, or they might pretend to be a friend or family member. But phishing scammers make it seem like they need your information or someone else's quickly, or something bad will happen. They might say your account will be frozen, you'll fail to get a tax refund, your boss will get mad, even that a family member will be hurt or you could be arrested. In short, they lie to get you to give them information. So here's an example of a phishing email, and it shows just how sophisticated they can be. This is a good example of kind of the intersection of cyber scams and coronavirus scams. This one was one that was sent kind of early on in the pandemic, and you'll see they're spoofing the World Health Organization, and they're claiming that they have a document with safety measures for you to download. So again, since it was at the beginning of the pandemic, at that time, people were really hungry for information from trusted sources like the World Health Organization, so that they would have, wanted to, click on this to download it. Right now, it probably wouldn't have worked as well. Back then, it kind of had that urgency that we usually see with phishing scams. And like I said, they're trying to get you to download what they're referring to as safety measures, but it's likely some sort of malware that will either damage your computer or allow access to personal files, or both. So how do you avoid phishing? First, you want to check it out. So look up the website or phone number for the company or person behind the text or email, and make sure you're getting the real company and not about to download malware or talk to a scammer. Second is you want to talk to someone. Talking to a friend or family member might help you figure out if the request is real or a phishing attempt. Third, make a call if you're not sure. So pick up the phone and call that company who sent the email, and make sure to use a number you know to be correct, not the number in the email or text, and confirm that they really need that information from you. Okay, so next up, we're going to talk about ransomware. So you may have heard of this type of attack from the news. It's been getting some more attention in the last few years, and we'll start with how ransomware works. So with ransomware, you'll get an email that looks legitimate, but with one click on a link or one download of an attachment, it can lock you out of your system. And basically what happens is that link downloaded software that holds your data hostage, and then the attackers ask you for money or cryptocurrency to get your information back. You've probably heard about ransomware attacks affecting organizations' computer systems, like freezing up their server software on organizations' network computers, but ransomware can attack anybody's computer. So it's good information to know for your own personal devices as well. So how can you avoid ransomware attacks? There's a few things. Number one, keep your software updated. Again, what we talked about at the beginning, downloading security updates as soon as they're available, no matter what operating system you use. Hackers are constantly looking for security gaps, and companies are trying to close those gaps as soon as they're discovered. But again, you don't get the benefit of those extra protections if you don't download those updates. So it's really important, if you can, to set your operating system to download and install security updates automatically. And you also want to make sure to install updates for your other software, including your apps. Second is to back up your important files, from your tax forms to family photos. Make it part of your routine to back up your files often on your computer and mobile devices. And when you're done, make sure to log out of the cloud and unplug the external hard drives so that hackers can't encrypt and lock out your backups as well. And lastly, make sure to think twice before clicking on links or downloading attachments and apps. Ransomware is often downloaded through phishing emails, but you can also get ransomware from visiting a compromised site or through malicious online ads. Okay, so today's presentation was actually a bit shorter, and that was on purpose because I know when I do this presentation, I often get a lot of questions, so I wanted to make sure and leave time for questions. But before we get to that, I do want to walk through some resources and some ideas of how you can talk about this topic with folks in your own village. So there are a ton of different ways to incorporate this advice into the work you're already doing with your villages. Some ideas are to include tips in your newsletters or social media accounts. You can also incorporate advice into existing trainings you have. So if you, for instance, have some sort of training on, I don't know, if you had a training on how to use like a certain type of software, or if you had, you know, any sort of training that had to do with technology, you can incorporate cybersecurity tips, you know, in a way that the whole training isn't about cybersecurity, but it just includes those tips as part of what you're already talking about. And that's a really great way to go. You can also hold a virtual coffee chat about online safety. I think that Chevrolet does something like that. I'm blanking on what they call it, but I believe they do a kind of a regular chat around cybersecurity topics. So that's another idea. I also wanted to turn it over and see if any of you all had ideas. Feel free to unmute and jump in or type it in the chat. Any thoughts on how you could share this information with your village?
Hey, Ari, this is Travis. Just wanted to mention that you're right on that villages often do offer some sort of technology help or various trainings, so they could totally incorporate, you know, some of the FTC resources into those training sessions for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, No, that's a great way to go, because it can definitely be hard sometimes to get people to attend something that's specifically on like cybersecurity or online safety, or avoiding scams or what have you. So we definitely always encourage folks to find ways to kind of bake it into what you're already doing. So it's not necessarily the focus of it, but it's included in there, so you can get a broader audience.
Yeah, I figured this would be more popular. I think we're just kind of building up steam here with these FTC presentations, but I myself have seen these various pop-ups on my computer, and it's like you're kind of like panicked and you don't know what to do and where to turn. Like the one guy was saying in the video, you click it and the thing doesn't go away, and you're like, okay, what do I do now? So do you have any advice on, I mean, other than, it's like people really don't know what to do when in those types of situations when these things pop up. Should you just contact your local computer store, or where would be the first place to turn, do you think?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I wasn't at all talking about the audience today. I was just generally saying that just across the board, that it can be hard to create programming based on like avoiding frauds and scams, and kind of get larger audiences. So sometimes it's helpful to just bake it into existing things. But yeah, so in terms of what you should do if you are getting pop-ups like that, I mean, I think what you're saying is valid. I mean, you could definitely contact, the manufacturer. Obviously, try to exit out of it. You could, attempt to restart your computer. I think we have some advice, and I can send this along later about, possibly, needing to. I mean, if you think that there's, I mean, if you're not sure if there's malware on your computer already, like if that is the reason you're getting pop-ups, we definitely advise running a security scan, and then following the advice on what to do from the security software. But yeah, I think those are.
I typically, when anything wrong happens on the computer, I try like the easiest thing first. So the first thing I would do probably is close my browser completely and restart it and see if it goes away. Then the second thing would be to restart your whole computer. And then the third thing would be probably to call the Geek Squad or somebody at the local computer store to see if they had any ideas. At least that would be my three-step process to try to solve something like that.
Yeah, no, and I think that makes sense. Yeah, we would just say to, research any company that you're reaching out to just, make sure that they're, legitimate, and, ask friends and family for recommendations. And, you can always contact your manufacturer as well. All right. So with that, I also just want to run through some other FTC resources that you can also use in your outreach and programming. So I think I've brought this up at a few of our other presentations, but we have this great resource on avoiding coronavirus scams, including cyber scams. It's at ftc.gov/coronavirus/scams. Excuse me, there's great one-pagers on there. There's great social media shareables, there's videos, there's lots of stuff on there. Again, everything is in the public domain, which means that it's not copyrighted. So you're able to copy and paste really anything, and you can credit the FTC or you cannot. You're always free to copy and paste like any of our blogs or articles and put in your newsletter and put it under your own byline. I think it's really great when people do that. I think it lends some credibility that it's coming from you all, a trusted resource in their community. And again, we encourage it. We love when folks do that. So please feel free to do that. Okay, so next I want to talk about where you can get more information on online safety. You can get it at consumer.ftc.gov. That is our consumer information page. And if you go to the privacy, identity, and online security section, right here, the third from the left, we have some great articles there on different topics, including securing your wireless network, tips for using public Wi-Fi networks, how to secure your voice assistant and protect your privacy, and more. So there's lots that kind of go more in depth on some of the topics I talked about today. So they're a great read and good resources for you to share with your villages. Next, I just quickly wanted to remind folks about our Pass It On campaign. This is our campaign for older adults. The materials really work to respect a lifetime of experience. They're short to the point, and they encourage people to share what they know. So kind of like that video we saw with the tech support scams, you know, talking to folks in your community, and kind of just finding ways to build this advice into conversations, and not making it so much like you should do XYZ and not XYZ, but more kind of incorporating your own experience and sharing it with your friends and family. So the topics covered include identity theft, imposter scams, charity fraud, healthcare scams, tech support scams, we talked about, grandkid scams, and a whole host of others. One thing I really like about Pass It On is it also has a lot of articles, activities, and PowerPoint presentations that you can actually download and just, you know, use in your own villages. And, you know, they're kind of turnkey programming if you do that type of outreach. Again, here is some more on Pass It On. And the website is ftc.gov/passiton. Okay, so before we wrap up, I just wanted to plug our newish, it launched in October, website for reporting scams, fraud, and bad business practices. So reportfraud.ftc.gov is where you go to report those things. And first, you'll go there, tell us what happened. And after you answer a few questions and submit your report, you'll get a report number that you can use to update your report and also tips on what to do next. If you provide your email, you'll get this information in an email as well. When you report to us, it really helps us and our law enforcement partners build cases that stop scams and also help alert others in your community about current fraud trends. Okay, so here is just some general resources we discussed. So consumer.ftc.gov, that's probably the best place to go to get more articles on online safety. If you want to sign up for our email alerts, which includes email updates on things like online scams, you can go to ftc.gov/consumer alerts. And if you want to order any of our materials as you know, printed out, or if you want PDFs, you can go to ftc.gov/bulk order. Everything is free, it ships free, and so that is another great resource. Lastly, if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and those are the links. So feel free to follow us there if you are on those networks. And with that, I will turn it over to questions.
I have a question. Oh.
Yeah, please.
I'm sorry, I came in late. I had something. I noticed it's being recorded. Is there a way where I could catch this from the beginning? Because it sounds like it's really good information.
Yeah, Travis can.
Yeah, Pat, I post all of these on our webinars page, so you'll be able to find it there. It takes me a few days to get everything uploaded, or you can just send me an email and I'll send you the link. That sometimes is a faster way for me to get the video to you.
Okay, and it's village to village, right?
VTV at vtvnetwork.org.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Sounds
Sure.
like it's great information for us. I appreciate you doing it. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. And if you have other questions, feel free to reach out.
That was it. Okay, I will. Thanks.
Sure. All right. Any other questions or ideas or how, or, I'd love to also hear that if you all are already incorporating this in your programming and outreach in your village. We can also wrap up early. So
Are you
This might
open,
be,
are you
oh,
open for general questions, or where are we on this?
yeah, general questions. Yeah, I've wrapped up. So yeah, if you have questions just on, fraud, scams in general
Well, I
outside
have
of
an
anything.
experience. Is this the right time to talk about it? or
Sure,
not?
absolutely.
Well, I'm a really smart guy. Not. Anyway, in my 80s, I got a call about 4 months ago. Did you purchase this $70 thing from Amazon? And I said, no, I didn't. They said, oh my gosh. Guess what? I said, what do I have to do? Well, I'll put you in touch with an Amazon people so you can fix this up. So I got in touch with, I thought was the Amazon people. And there was a series of people under different office names. And I clicked on one they said, and they said, we can help you with this. Long story short is I think I put a couple $100 on an account because they said they wanted to catch the person who did it, and that would be necessary to have that kind of money. And I said, this doesn't sound right. How can I check that you are Amazon people and not some hackers, fakers? And then they gave me the website again, and I thought, gee, it looked pretty official. Well, guess what? I lost a couple $100. I learned a lesson, but it was very cleverly done. And it's my fault, but I don't know if others have gotten something like this, but it seemed to be a common thing because they called a few days later and I had some choice words to give them. Anyway, done. I don't know if other people have had that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that experience. First of all, I wouldn't say it's your fault. I mean, these scammers are really, really tricky and really creative. And
yeah,
I mean, we get millions of reports about this stuff, every year, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. And they are really sophisticated, and yeah, they build websites that can look, almost identical. We know now that a lot of scammers are now using HTTPS at the beginning of websites, which I think often folks think that means a site is, safe.
Yeah.
But actually what it means that the information is being sent securely. It doesn't mean that the website itself is legitimate.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's all types of things kind of going on. I guess I would say, I'm not sure how long ago this happened. If you paid with a credit card or a bank card, there might be some protections you could look into. So you might reach out to your bank or credit card company and report this. Okay.
Didn't work, but thank you.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, then I definitely encourage you to report it to us at reportfraud.ftc.gov.
Yeah, I'll do it.
It's really helpful for our enforcement.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, we know that there's, lots of shame and kind of bad feelings around, talking about these things. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Sharing it with your friends and family is, one of the best ways you can really help avoid scams. There's studies that show that, if you're aware of a scam, you're less likely to engage with it and you're less likely to lose money to it. So it's a really, really helpful tool. So again, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, Ari, and I have a quick personal one too from my mother-in-law just the other day. She calls me up and tells me that she received an email that looked like it was from Microsoft, and it was like supposed to be like security software update or something. And they basically said that they had already charged her an amount for security software, but if she didn't want this, to call this particular number and they could remove the charge. So she goes ahead and calls the number, and she's pretty savvy, so she figured out pretty quick that it was a scam. But she sent me the screenshot of the email that she got, and it did look really official with the Microsoft logo and everything. Yeah. And so I was pretty proud that she did not fall for the scam. But yeah, I'm going to tell her to report that too to FTC.
Yeah, no, and that's a great example of, that's great. I'm really glad that she identified that. But yeah, our reporting website is not just for folks that, you know, interacted with the scammer or paid the scammer. We just want to know if you have seen a scam out in the world. If you don't engage with them, that's better. Like, we don't want you to engage with them. But we do want to hear about it. It's really helpful for our law enforcement, for our consumer ed. I think kind of an across the board rule, if you're not sure, if you receive a call like this, or you get an email kind of out of the blue with, you know, some sort of strange story, you'll want to just go to the website on your own, or, you know, use a number that you know to be true. So for instance, if you got something where they claim to be your bank, you'd want to, you know, find the number on the back of your bank card and use that number, contact them, say, hey, did you guys just call me 15 minutes ago? Probably wasn't them, right? So, and that can be kind of a surefire way to really authenticate what happened. Or if it's a case with, you know, Amazon, you know, going, if you have like an Amazon app, like going through the app, or going through, you know, typing in the URL yourself. Sometimes the top links that come up on search engines are not what they appear to be either. So you also want to be careful of that. But yeah, so one of the best ways is to, you know, contact the company in a way that you already know that it's them. A lot of times that's like a phone number on a bill, or a phone number on the back of a card. That can be a good way to authenticate. And another thing is, if they're rushing you, or saying something's urgent, that's definitely a huge red flag. You know, for really any of the situations, if you're not sure, you could hang up, say that you'll get back to them, and then do your own research and find out what's going on. You know, with any of these situations, it shouldn't be like a life or death kind of thing, where you need to act swiftly, but that's what scammers want you to think, so that you don't think too hard, you don't ask anyone else, that you just send them the money and you send it quickly. So yes, it's a great experience to share. Thanks, Travis.
I have another one. I've been getting texts from, they say they're UPS, and it has a thing for me to click on, like my tracking number, but I know I get UPS things all the time by email, and the tracking number is like, seems like 30 digits long, and it's all numbers. But on the text, the link is like 1VX, and it's not like an UPS thing. So I've gotten to the point where I figure this is fake, and I just don't want to, I don't even want to click on it, because I don't want to engage, because I got suckered once, and you're not going to get me twice. Yeah. So should I report something like that? I mean, yes. Should I do a screen print and send it to the website?
So unfortunately we can't accept like attachments like that. I mean, you're free to, you know, share those with me, with my, you know, contact info. And if you can also tell me if you're okay with me using it for consumer ed, because we like using real examples out in the world. We take out any identifying information. but it is really helpful. But yeah, when you report it to us, which I would recommend doing, you won't be able to attach it. But yes, so that type of scam, we did a few posts about it. There were a bunch, I think, last winter. They were like, I think they kept saying like, pending package, or something, and they had links. And yeah, those were phishing scams. Actually, when they come over text, they're also called smishing because of like SMS.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you had good instincts. If you know how you usually receive this information, then you wouldn't want to interact with a text like that. And again, if you weren't sure, you could certainly call UPS and ask if you had a package that was coming and you got a text and what have you. But yes, please do report that to us.
Is it dangerous for me to even click onto that link? I mean, is that asking
do not
for trouble?
click on.
Okay,
right.
good.
Yeah, we say don't click on the links. Don't
Thank
open
you.
attachments that can download malware
Thanks.
onto any device. Yep.
Yikes. Thanks.
Sure. Any other questions or experiences?
Yeah, another general one. Frequently I get something, oh, you won a $100 gift card from Home Depot or a $50 gift card. I initially feel they're a bunch of scams, so I have not touched any of those. What is your opinion on this?
Yeah, so, well, there's the whole category of kind of you've won scams. So I mean, I'll say that is definitely one kind of favorite method of scammers. I guess if you're not sure, let me see.
Could you just contact Home Depot or whatever directly?
I'm not sure. Well,
I tried to do that, but got no help from that either.
Yeah, let me do this. Can you email me and I'll send you our You've Won scam page? Because I don't have the tips off the top of my head of how to kind of identify them. But we do have a whole article on those. I'm not sure that contacting Home Depot, I mean, if it looked to be like Home Depot was the one giving out the gift cards, but sometimes, I mean, it's possible that a legitimate company was giving out, another company's gift card, right? But yeah, if you can send me a message to that email that's right here, I can send you that.
I will do that. Thank you.
Yeah, those tips. Anyone else? Okay. All right, then go ahead and wrap up. Thanks everyone for joining. And again, if you have other questions, feel free to email me or call me. Happy to, assist if you're planning on doing a program in your village and you have a question, or you are looking for some sort of resource. I'd love to assist. You guys are great ambassadors, and I just want to, support the work you're doing. So thank you all and have a good afternoon.
Appreciate your help. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ari.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.